Hi everyone, welcome back to The Art of Business English. Andrew Ambrosius, your host for another episode. And this is the podcast where we help people like you get the language skills you need for doing business in English. And what other language would you want to do business in apart from English? Now, today I've got episode 190 and I'm going to be looking at 10 must-know prepositional phrases with at for business. So in this episode, you're going to learn, I'm going to teach you about prepositional phrases with at meaning the preposition at, and what they are and why you might find them useful for business. So if you're not sure what a prepositional phrase is, then here's a definition provided by Cambridge. So prepositional phrases consist of a preposition and the words which follow it. A complement. And the complement is most commonly a noun phrase or a pronoun. But it can also be an adverb phrase, usually one of place or time, a verb in the ing form. So, as the name suggests, a prepositional phrase will always consist of a preposition and an object. It sounds fancy, but it's pretty easy. Just think of them as phrases or expressions with prepositions. So you may be asking yourself, why are these important for my business English? Well, that is because many common expressions are formed using prepositional phrases. And as such, knowing them can help with your comprehension in a meeting, for example, and you can use them to be much more descriptive. So let's jump in and see what we've got today. So the first prepositional phrase on my list is at a moment's notice. So you can see at is the key there. At a moment's notice, and that basically means immediately after one has been told about something. So as soon as someone tells you, boom, you do it. So an example would be, they were prepared to help us at a moment's notice, meaning whenever we called for help, they would be ready. The next one, at a rate of. So at a rate of, again, at. The speed at which something happens or changes, or the amount or number of times it happens or changes in a particular period. That is what it means. So it's the rate of change, how often, or the speed at which it happens. So an example would be, the company had a high staff turnover rate. They lost staff every month at a rate of about 20. So turnover means that the staff left, they had to employ new people, and the rate at which it happened was 20 a month. The next one is at all cost, or at any cost. And this basically means to achieve something no matter what dangers or difficulties are involved. So, you're going to do it no matter what. And an example that would be, security during the president's visit must be maintained at all costs. We can't have any problems with security when the president comes. Or we could say, we realized we had to fight the lawsuit at all cost. So a lawsuit is when you're getting sued. The next one is at an advantage or at a disadvantage. Again, at is the preposition that begins this phrase. And it means you're in a more powerful or successful position than other people or things. Or, on the flip side, in a situation in which you are less likely to succeed than others. That's if you're at a disadvantage. So let's see an example. With the dollar weakening, US exporters will be at an advantage. However, the opposite would be, this new law places poorer families at a disadvantage. So they have been negatively affected. Next one, at a glance. At a glance. So at a glance means when you first look at something, or when you're first looking, so it's that instant first look. An example is, he could tell at a glance that he was not a suitable candidate for the job. So instantly looking at the person, the recruitment person knew at a glance that they were not the right person for the job. Next one is at once, and that means immediately or at the same time. So, I want that at once, meaning I want it right now. So an example would be, you have to call the new clients at once, meaning your boss wants you to do it now. Or you could say, to open and quickly move between several web pages at once, you can use tabbed browsing. So you want to do it all at the same time or immediately. The next one, at the outset, and that's a weird word, no? At the outset, outset goes together. So at the outset means at the beginning. The proposal and ideas presented at the outset by each of us were rapidly analyzed by our colleagues. So straight away, at the outset, at the beginning, our ideas were analyzed. The next one, at a standstill, at a standstill. And that means a situation in which all movement or activity has stopped. So if you're at a standstill, it means you're stuck, you're not moving. An example would be labor negotiations are almost at a standstill. So the two parties that are negotiating have almost stopped talking to each other because they don't agree. The next one is at length, and we use this a lot, at length. And it means for a long time. So you could say something like, the conditions of the deal were discussed at length before a final agreement was reached. So we discussed all the deal terms at length, meaning for a long time, before we agreed, finally. Okay, and then, now this is my last one here, at the end and at the beginning of. Now this one's really important because people always make mistakes with it. It's when you're finishing, or when something finishes, or when something starts. Now, what I mean by people always make mistakes with this is that they always say in the beginning or in the end. And at the beginning of is followed by an object. So you can say at the beginning of the meeting, but you can't say in the beginning of the meeting. Okay, in the beginning is followed by a subject, verb, object. So in the beginning, everyone sat down for coffee. So everyone is a subject, sat down, verb, object for coffee. So don't confuse the two. Most people just default and use in for everything. In the beginning, in the end, okay? It's not the same as at the beginning or at the end. At the beginning, at the end is followed by of and an object. So at the beginning of the meeting, at the end of the lunch. So let me give you an example then of how we use at the beginning or at the end. The accounts are audited at the end of each financial year. Okay? At the end of what? The financial year. Another one, the current CEO assumed her responsibilities at the beginning of September 2020. When? Of September. So that's the object, September, the month. So that's it, my friends. Those are 10 prepositional phrases with at. I hope you have enjoyed this episode and that you have discovered useful new expressions. Make sure you stay posted for future updates. Of course, if you haven't subscribed to the Art of Business English yet, then now is a great time. You can subscribe on Spotify, on iTunes podcast, at the website. So please do it. Anywhere that you find good podcasts, you'll find mine. Please feel free to share the prepositional phrases you have as well with us here at the Art of Business English. You can pop them over in the comment section on the blog or on any of my social media channels. But why not do it in the blog? That way we can have it all there together. And of course, if you are interested in learning more expressions, I'm not sure if you know, but I have got a fantastic course on business idioms. And this course covers a lot of different areas of business and relevant idioms for those areas of business. And these idiomatic expressions will help you communicate with more confidence. So why don't you head over to the Art of Business English website and grab a copy of this online course. It's fantastic and it's super, super good value. I think it's only about $9.99. So, I mean, you can't get better value than that for an online course where you're going to learn a whole bunch of expressions. It's video based and there are quizzes to help you put everything into practice, what you've learned. Well, that's it, my friends. That's it for me for another week on the Art of Business English. Hope you've enjoyed this episode and stay tuned because I'm going to be bringing you some more prepositional phrases, but we're going to change the actual prepositions. So next week, stay tuned for some more. Take care. Bye for now.